Laura, thanks for letting us come. This is a first ever Faith in the Struggle podcast on location.
Yeah, right,
And we knew you couldn't quite come to us.
right.
You could probably come to the church, but the studio, no. The studio's way up above the gym. Remember that room? So that probably wouldn't have worked.
Upstairs.
We would have had to drag you up there. And so we came to be with you. And it's good to see you. How you doing?
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Not 100%.
No.
No.
No. So you are dealing with a lot of complications of MS, right?
And PML now.
Yeah. So
PML is a
what's that?
rare, potentially fatal brain infection,
Mm.
which I was diagnosed with that in early February 2023. I fell going up the stairs to the house end of January 2023, and a couple days later, I fell in the bathroom. So I ended up in the hospital having to have an MRI, and the doctor came and told me the results at night when I was all alone. Paul wasn't there, and he came and gave me the bad news. And I cried and cried and cried because I didn't know what the heck was going
You were in
on.
the hospital at that time or the rehab?
Yeah, the hospital, Milford Hospital.
Okay.
The next day, I
What did the
remember
doctor?
Heather.
Did he have to tell you what that was? Had you known
Yeah,
before that?
and I cried and cried and cried because I didn't know what the heck was going on.
And that's because of the medication for your MS leaves you prone for that, right?
And the MS medication I was on, which I started on Gilenia at the end of December
Well,
2011,
you know your years, that's for sure. Man.
it wiped out my immune system, which caused the PML to flare up.
And that created what? What complications happened at that time for you?
I couldn't stand. They had to have 3 people get me out of bed to put me on the commode to go to the bathroom because I couldn't even stand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only good thing I had in the hospital the next night was Heather came in to see me, and she was venting about the patient that yelled at her,
Yeah.
and then she said to me, I wouldn't want to listen to that. And I said, wasn't it? It was a good distraction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when she was a case manager, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Yeah, that was not a fun job for a couple of years. You got out of that for sure.
yeah.
So take me back to that. The doctor comes in, tells you this. You are, like you said, you're alone to hear this news. That that was obviously terrifying. Do you remember what kinds of prayers you had during that time?
I don't know. I don't remember any prayers.
Yeah. What kind of thoughts are going through your head?
All I could think of when I got to the rehab, I was sitting at the table with Paul, and I screaming out, crying, "Why, God? Why is this happening to me?" But then the second thought, I said, "Well, why not me? I'm not any better than anybody else." So I'm still dealing with it almost 2 years later.
Yeah.
So why, God? Why?
Yeah.
It's just been going on for so long.
Yeah. That's the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sometimes it's like it feels like, it's one thing when you watch a movie with somebody and it's like 2 hours they wrap it up, but sometimes, in church this past weekend we were talking about the woman with the flow of blood for 12 years, and it's like we get the story where Jesus heals her. It's like, oh, that's awesome, but you kind of pause and realize, yeah, but for 12 years she dealt with all of the complications of that, not just illness, but the outcast mentality that came with that. And so that's what you're enduring, right? It feels endless.
yeah, I know. The only good thing I have is Bible study group online. We pray for each other. And so they've been for me, with me through the whole thing.
Take me back, if you can remember, when were you diagnosed with MS to begin with?
2005.
Okay. And so, and you obviously, did you feel anything at that time, or it was just, because I knew you for a lot of that, and you would never know that you were dealing with MS.
You never would know unless I told you.
Yeah.
But right before I was diagnosed, Elizabeth was in college
Yeah.
and going in on the part of the choir team. They were coming up to have the concert up here. And so for 2 weeks straight every day, for 2 weeks, I have complete numbness and tingling on my right side. So I didn't do anything about that until they were gone. And so Dr. Sirocco sent me for an MRI. And she called me at home here over the weekend to tell me that it was MS.
So I know that's now almost 20 years ago. Do you remember what thoughts you had when you heard that? Because you hear MS, that's terrifying. That's like,
Yeah.
What were you thinking then?
I don't know. I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
I did have a couple flare-ups over the years, but again, you never would have known I had MS unless I told you. I saw you one time when I experienced a MS hug, and it was only half the side of my body. And so I had to have Solumedrol treatments for 3 days for that one.
So you said you would never know, but you were dealing with it, right?
Right.
And you were dealing with it not only physically, but it would seem to me the mental strain of this could get bad at any point, right? Like what kinds of, were you able to remain positive through most of those years, or were there times where you were really scared?
I was living with a false impression that I would never get any worse. My neurologist also told me that I could stay the same. So I was with that false impression.
Well, but you did maintain it for quite a while.
Not long enough.
Well, it really wasn't the MS ultimately. It was the meds, right, that took your immune system. So the what's it called again?
PML.
PML. Okay. And so you go from pretty active, living your life, to all of a sudden not able to do a whole lot. What's that been like?
Devastating, depressing.
What's the hardest part of it, do you think?
Not being able to do anything. Not being able to stand on my own. Not being able to do anything. I can't dress myself. I can't go to the bathroom by myself like a normal person. I have to have Paul help me with everything. It's...
Lost your independence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So through this time, what's your prayer life been like? Up and down?
Up and down.
Yeah. Like anybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kinds of prayers do you pray?
Ask him for strength to get me through the day. Mostly.
What kinds of things do you look forward to that do happen throughout your days?
The days when Ezra and Cadence come over and visit me. One day, was it last week or the week before? Elizabeth and Cadence came over unexpected mid-morning till they stayed up till after lunch.
Mm.
And so we had a good visit.
Yeah.
So that brought a smile to my face.
Yeah.
Much needed smile.
Yeah. Yeah. Having the kids around,
Yeah.
grandkids around. Yeah.
I remember one time when I was in the rehab, they would come in and visit me,
Mm.
and I couldn't even hold them with my right arm.
Mm.
And then one Sunday when they came in, Ezra came in the room first, and I was like this to him. And I reached out and hugged him with both my arms.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That was more enjoyable to me, I think, than to him.
Yeah. Well,
He didn't know the significance of that.
no, no. But also, a kid in a rehab place, that's scary for them sometimes. They're like, what's going
Yeah.
on? Are you so sick? Are you? And that kind of thing, Was there ever a time in rehab you're like, am I ever getting out of here?
Yeah. I was in rehab for a month,
Mm.
twice, 2 different rehab places. I was in rehab, but I made some good progress.
Mm-hmm.
But I have since reverted back to my older self.
Some regression.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does the doctor say? Like, what's the expectation? Just stay about the same, worse, better? You're doing a lot of PT and OT, you said, so trying to get stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy, huh?
No, it's not.
So you've asked God the question, why? Has he given you any answers?
Why not me?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Why not me?
What do you think he might be doing? It doesn't it ever seem like this is pointless? We know it's not, but it must feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. What do you think he is doing in this?
I don't know. He may be making me stronger spiritually
Hmm.
to rely on him more. And it's not easy doing that either.
No. No.
Oh, there comes the cat.
We like the cats. It'll fine. The cat can curl right up on my lap, no problem.
No,
He won't want
he
to.
won't come in here.
Be like, what is all of this stuff? So, any particular verse has been helpful for you since you've been going through
I
this?
can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me.
Yeah, that verse people use in some really weird ways. They want to win a basketball game or something. But for you, I think you use it in the right way
Yeah.
because you feel like you can almost do nothing right now. And yet that verse says you can do all things.
I have to remind myself of that every day.
Mm. Yeah. That he's present with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to someone who maybe isn't going through your exact thing, but something similar? What counsel would you give them? I mean, you've really been through it for a while now.
Don't give up.
Mm.
Rely on God. Seek him in everything.
Mm.
Ask him.
How do you do that?
How do I do that?
How do you do that?
How do I seek him?
Mm.
Read in his word.
Mm.
Read in his daily devotional in my oh gosh, what's
Daily bread?
Daily
Daily
bread.
bread.
Yeah. And I have this book that Anne gave me, Streams in the Desert, which is similar to Daily Bread. It's the daily devotional.
Kind of a refreshment, like streams in the desert. Yeah. Yeah. So you seek the Lord through his word, prayer, finding the joys where you can. When is there any particular moments or things that happen that are worse than others for you? It's like, oh, if anything's going to threaten, you don't want to give up. What is it? Is there any specific hardship that you're going through, or just in general?
When I have an accident,
Mm-hmm.
when I wet my pull-up
Mm-hmm.
through and through, and I have to have Paul change it multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time not long ago, I couldn't even go through my nap without wetting my pull-up or
Mm-hmm.
sleep overnight. But now I can sleep through my nap and overnight
Mm-hmm.
without getting wet.
Mm-hmm.
I've been dry for a couple weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's part of recovery from the UTI,
Mm-hmm.
which I've had one from the hospital and once when I got home. I had another one, but I've been clean.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because that that's that's not just physical. That just makes you feel like, not just, I don't know. The word embarrassed probably isn't the right word. Maybe it is, but it's more just like what.
Frustration.
Yeah, because I mean, you're a grown adult and you feel like what. But a lot of people end up, not a lot, but people with health issues will end up in that, and it, and that must feel. And then you got to rely on Paul, though he is more than happy to love you as your husband. But I'm
Not
sure,
always. No, it's very frustrating for him too.
yeah, of course it is. That's a hard thing, but you got him. That's a good
For
gift.
today,
You might kill him.
sometimes when I'm getting up from the couch, he has to pull me up a lot. And then he says to me, "You're killing me, you're killing me," because his arm will hurt.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what if someone were to say to you, "You're going through this, Laura. Why would you even believe in God? It doesn't feel like there is a God." What would you say?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
Hmm. I mean, you're going through this. Oh, why could there be a God letting you go through this?
Because he knows all things and he knows how long I have to deal with it. And ultimately, the outcome is the greater good when I go into heaven to be with him.
Hmm. Thinking eternally, right?
Yeah,
Not just green tape.
no,
Well, some might say that's a bit cliche, but I would say you have earned the right to say that. And
yeah.
who could ever take that? For someone in your position, has so much stripped away and yet can say, this God is doing something good in this. Like,
But
that's,
help me out now.
mm,
Help me now. Show me now.
yeah.
There are times when I'm so frustrated, I
Mm,
can't go on another day.
mm,
There was a time when I would cry out to Paul that I couldn't do it.
mm,
It's, it's too hard. But he said to me, if I if I were to go through it, meaning him, he would have finished it long time ago.
mm,
So I have the strength to go on, to endure it, even though it's hard.
mm. Well, you have a lot of strength.
Yeah, there are days when I don't feel like it.
Mm. That's kind of the human experience in a pressure cooker. Like,
Yeah,
God gives us strength, but there's a lot of days we don't feel like it, you
yeah,
know. But I think your story should show people to not take for granted what we have.
yeah. Not don't take for granted the good health that you have.
the ability to get up and
Yeah.
dress yourself and go about your day.
Doing anything.
Mm,
Don't take it for granted
mm,
because it could be wiped out in a heartbeat.
yeah. Yeah. If you were all of a sudden healed, what would you do? What would be the first thing you'd do? Go
Oh,
for a run?
I would jump for joy. I would hug Paul
Mm,
and give him a hug and a kiss
mm,
and praise the Lord for
mm.
my healing.
So someday you'll be jumping for joy, whether it's here or in eternity.
Yeah,
That's up to the Lord, but
I know.
mm. You've also haven't been able to go to church much because of the physical limitations and the
Right, right.
can't be around too much germs because of your immune system.
They
That
say
must be
my
hard.
immune system is back up.
Okay, good. Yeah. So that must you're you and Paul, of course, are we're very rarely not in church,
Nope.
and that must
We,
be hard for you to
we
miss.
weren't. We weren't. We were there every week.
Mm,
And so I was the church clerk. So I was there for every meeting.
mm,
I was there for helping count
yeah.
after church on a rotating basis. And I was able to go to Bible study.
Mm,
I miss my life.
mm. Of course you do. But you said your Bible study is it the same people that online?
Some of them are new. We
So it's
haven't.
like a text sort of group chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of them I don't know them.
Was it from the Tuesday morning
Yeah,
that Jan Bonnell used to be Linnea
yeah,
group? Yeah. Yeah, that's big now.
yeah.
They're
We
still
went
terrorizing me every Tuesday.
when we went to church for Ezra's baptism.
Mm,
I met one of the girls that I had never met before,
mm.
but
Felt like you knew her though, probably because of the group chat.
yeah,
Yeah.
she thanked me for responding to her every Tuesday morning. So that was nice to put a face to the name.
Mm. Yeah, it goes to show you could still serve the Lord even if you're at home on the couch or in bed or wherever, because that's the one good thing about technology is you can still pray for each other and encourage each other. And it sounds like that group's been pretty good about that for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank goodness for that.
yeah, yeah. So what are you hoping for? Obviously, oh, you love to heal, full healing, but what's your goals? Your more temporary goals?
To stand up and be able to walk by myself,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to go to the bathroom like a normal person,
Mm-hmm.
to do anything. I miss being able to bake in the kitchen.
Mm.
I miss being able to make apple pies.
Yeah.
There's Thanksgiving. Every Thanksgiving, I would make an apple pie and chocolate cream pie and oatmeal cookies and chocolate chip cookies. I can't do any of that.
Mm. Yeah, you're making
Very
me hungry,
frustrating.
Laura. Talking about
Very
all this.
frustrating.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who might be in the position of not necessarily their wife, like in Paul's case, but just someone in their life going through something like you are? What should they do or not do or say? What's helpful? What's not helpful?
I don't know. It would have to be a case by case
Hmm. What about for
situation.
you? What do you find helpful that people do?
Well, Elizabeth will make an apple pie to bring us over here for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Paul has one in the freezer from the Christian school,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll have that.
Yeah, I mean in general though. You know what I mean? Like friends or people Like what kinds of things have people said that have encouraged you, or what have you, because you would be a perfect person to give us like, all right, if I have someone in my life that is going through this, what do I say or not say?
Just that they're there for me and praying for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That tends to be a very common answer of people that I've had on the podcast, where sometimes there's not much you can say. You just be there. Don't walk away.
Right.
Yeah. Because you don't want to feel that alone feeling.
Love on me.
Yeah.
Miss me.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Bring the kids.
Bring my babies over.
They're not really babies anymore.
I know. When I used to watch Ezra every single day
I know. Well, Cadence too, right?
for the first year, and then everything happened. Well, the first 2 years, then everything happened. But he
Yeah.
was born June 2021, and then I fell January 2023.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, I remember because I would have to drop Grace off to Christian school, and Nathan too, probably. Well, Nathan was probably out by then, but I would pretty much hit it almost every day where Liz was dropping and Paul would open the door and they'd hand over Cadence, and because Ezra was in school, and I remember thinking, man, God bless them. Baby, I want to be a blessing to my grandkids, but the baby stage, man, no thanks.
and
I didn't even like my own kids when they were
I
babies.
miss those days.
Well, of course you do, and that's the funny thing, because at the time, right, you're exhausted and you're probably like, ugh, and now you'd go back to it because you'd be
Yeah.
able to do all of that.
Now when Cadence comes over, Liz will pick her up and give me a hug. Oh, and I'll say to her, give me a kiss.
Mm.
And then I give her a raspberry. And she laughs,
Yeah.
and I'll tickle her,
Yeah.
and she'll like, woo!
Mm.
Yeah.
Have they
So-
gotten, especially Ezra, because he's older, but have they sort of gotten, I don't know, if used to the idea of you obviously not being at your full capacity?
No, I don't think so.
No. Especially,
Was it last year or the year before? Christmas Day? Year before? I went in the bathroom. At the time, I was using a quad cane, which was, I was able to get along,
yeah.
no problem. But when I opened the door, I wasn't expecting Paul to be standing there with the wheelchair to wheel me over to the dining room chair. And I fell backwards in the bathroom. And the bathroom over here, there's no room for error.
Oh, yeah.
And I went backwards in between the toilet and the wall. And so between Liz pushing and Paul pulling me, they got me back up and on the wheelchair. And then when I got in the dining room, Ezra was sitting there next to Brian, and he was what's the word?
Scared, you think? Or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
scared because he didn't know what to expect from me.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, Meme's okay. I'm okay. So then he was fine after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not fine, but I didn't let him know. The next day I had this huge, huge blood blister on my left hip.
Mm. Yeah. Gotta stay out of the hospital,
Yeah.
huh?
No, I didn't go to the hospital for that.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital one night when I was come out of the bathroom again with the quad cane, and I had no trouble getting up out of the bed and going to the bathroom by myself.
Mm.
When I got out of the bathroom, I shut the light off, and I always stand there for a minute or two to adjust to the lighting,
Mm.
and then turn to go into the room right there, and I lost my footing and plop, face planted on the floor.
Mm.
And I was just getting off of the blood thinners, and
Yeah.
blood came out of it everywhere.
Yeah.
Brian came downstairs, and he was worried about me.
Yeah, because that can be scary. Your face is sounds like it was.
Yeah.
We just got done with a boxing match.
2 hairline fractures on my nose,
Probably black
and
eyes and everything.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And my front teeth was moved around a little bit. So I had to go to the dentist for that.
Mm.
But we ended up going to UMass Lake Ave. But in 4 hours later, we were back home again.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun.
What's your biggest fear, like when you're alone with your thoughts? What kinds of things do you worry about?
Getting worse.
Yeah.
Not getting any better. Not being a bigger burden for Paul and the kids.
Yeah. Even though they tell you you're not a burden.
No. Being found dead in my bed.
Mm.
Although there are times when I wish I could just go to sleep and not wake up.
Yeah. You ever ask God why? And just take me if you're going to leave me like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he says,
Not yet.
I'll take you when I take you.
Not your time, but mine. My time.
You know what I would normally say about that is God's like, I ain't ready for you yet.
What are you saying, Jamie?
God's like, I got a lot of patience. I'm God, but no, but that's the hard part. And I've talked. Usually, it's someone who's like really old. I remember, you remember Ernestine, Jan's mom.
Yeah.
She used to ask me, why am I still here? And I'm like, I don't know, and it's just because, like, again, she was like 96 or whatever she was. She felt like there's really no point, and that happens to a lot of people, and they tend to ask the pastor. I'm like, I don't know. Obviously God has a reason, and God doesn't need you to be at full capacity.
No, I know.
You want to be, but in the end, it comes down to, you trust me, and you do. I know not in every moment who does, but for you to be able to say, I know that in the end, God's gonna bring healing to me eternally, and I'm gonna be able to jump for joy. And that's,
I want it now.
of course you do, and it's okay to want it now.
I want to be able to jump now here on earth.
I know, and maybe you will. But that's what faith comes in, right? Is trust that God's got you in this. And he's with you in it. And man, where would we be without him, right?
I know.
Yeah. It's also a beautiful picture of marriage for you and Paul.
41 years.
But when you go down the aisle and who married you? Was it Catholic Church still back then?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever the priest or whoever said, for better or for worse in sickness and health, you're a young couple, you're thinking, oh, when I have a cold, you're not thinking this.
No.
But here you are, and
41 years later,
spending every second of the day together, and not an easy situation. Of course there's going to be some frustration. I mean, good Lord, you'd be perfect if there wasn't, and you're not that, and neither's Paul. But
we spent the last 2 anniversaries with me in rehab.
Yeah, fun times, right?
Yeah. He's missed going to the beach because I'm in the hospital or being here.
Mm-hmm. But that's what marriage is, right?
Yeah,
And I think it's important for especially younger couples to see this isn't just about getting something from this. This is about a commitment that God brings us together
right,
for
right.
better or for worse.
Liz and Timmy have to see this every day
Yeah?
because of me.
Well, I wouldn't say because of you. You didn't do this.
Because of me, because I'm not healthy.
Yeah, but that's not your fault, right? Because the
I
Lord,
feel it is sometimes
why?
because I do.
You feel like you did something that caused this?
No, no,
Just because you feel like a burden?
yeah,
And so you feel guilty about that?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a normal emotion. It's not right, but it's normal. I don't blame you for feeling that way. But you can't, you didn't wake up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to make them have to take care of me. Right?
No, no, I wouldn't have them to do that.
Have you worked hard in PT?
I try.
Of course you do. Try harder, like Paul said, harder than he probably would. Certainly harder than me. You know? Need water or anything?
Yeah,
There you go. A little bit left in that bottle. But yeah, I think you're right about Timmy and Liz, or really any young couple that might see this, or anyone
there's
who
not
wants.
much in there.
I know. We'll get more for you. And any young couple who's thinking about marriage, like this is real life. I mean, not that this is something that happens to everybody, but like you said earlier, it could. And what a beautiful picture of commitment and love and just what it really is.
Right, right.
You know, for both of you. But I don't I don't I don't think anybody wants you to feel guilty. You didn't ask for this.
No, I know.
In fact, you could be a lot worse. You could be, screaming at everybody all the time, half the time.
Hitting you all the time.
Yeah.
I'll hit Paul sometimes and he'll say, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think your story, the reason I wanted to talk to you, as hard as it is people go through things,
Right, right.
right? That's what life is, and
You're right.
it's a broken world. But,
I know.
But Jesus has overcome the world. And you cling to that through all of this, right? And that alone is one of the greatest purposes anybody can have, is to be an example of just clinging to Jesus, even though you feel like everything's pointless, right?
Yeah.
Because you could just give up, but you haven't, and you're not gonna, are you?
Try not to.
No, you're not.
It's a daily struggle sometimes.
Of course it is. And that's the beauty of watching you do this, is like, it's hard, but it's beautiful because everything is temporary, and there will be eternal rewards for your faith in this really, really dry desert. Same with Paul, for him having faith and trusting God in this.
So let me point out to you this picture. Cadence looked at it yesterday, and Elizabeth said to her, what do you see in there? Jesus. And how many sheep do you see? And so first I said, she said, just 4. No. 5. No. 6. No. 7. No. And then she counted them with cadence, and she come up with 13. So Jesus welcomes his sheep back home with his arms wide open.
Wow.
So this is a picture that I like to cling to.
Yeah.
Jesus welcoming his sheep back home.
Yeah, you're one of those sheep. You're probably the one in the walking away though in the back there. Paul's in the bushes though, don't worry.
No. He pointed that to the sheep to walking away from the herd.
No, you're probably in the front there, you know, being like, Jesus, take me. Take me now. But, you know, we can get caught up in this world as far as like all the stuff, but in the end, that's what it's all about. This is going to be so temporary, even though it seems impossibly long. 2 trillion years from now, this will be nothing. And yet there will be rewards because of it. That's what's your faith through it, God will reward. And there's others that couldn't have done this, so he didn't have them go through it. But he knew you could do it. You know?
Yeah.
I think of the scene in The Chosen where I think it's little James. I don't know if you've watched that show, but it's he's a
No,
cripple.
we haven't.
It's a great show. He's crippled, and he asks Jesus. Jesus is going to send him out to heal, and he goes, he's like on a crutch, right? He's not in a wheelchair, but he's on a crutch, and he's like, Jesus, like, what? I'm going to heal people? What about me? And Jesus said, he's like, there's a lot of people that have that story. Your story of being able to be faithful in it, that's going to be a better story.
Yeah.
And it was a powerful moment of like, yeah. So I think of that. I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll leap for joy, and that'll be a beautiful story too.
Yeah.
But your faith through this for others to see, which is part of this podcast, is what it'll do. It gives people the opportunity to say, if she is still clinging to Jesus, I can too.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
I hope so.
Oh, without a doubt. I have no doubt that there is a lot of hurting people, and for a lot of reasons, it has nothing to do with, you know, in your situation. Although there are those who have similar situation as you as well, but just could want to give up because of emotional things or some situation in their life. And it's like, no, don't give up. You're one of those sheep. And Jesus has a plan for you. And it's a daily struggle, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to give you this gift. I don't know how often you put shirts on, but when you come to church, you can wear it. This is, I want you to see it too. It's kind of the verse that I always think of with this podcast is, you know, we do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you. From 2 Chronicles, when the armies were all around him, and he was just like, Lord, we're in trouble. There's no hope, but
Now, what size is that?
This is a XL, so we can exchange that if you need a bigger size, or you want to, you know, so you can try it, or, you know, and just let Liz know, or she can exchange it. But I wanted to, these are new, people can buy these, but Faith in the Struggle, that's the name of this podcast. And you got the green tape and rope right there, right, as a constant reminder that this little green tape shouldn't be that big, remember, is what you're going through now. But this, and I don't know why Steve had an ending. He made this. Shouldn't have an ending, Steve. The rope has no end because it's eternity, right?
Right.
So yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on. I know that we didn't want to go too long with this, given your, you know, just don't want to exhaust you.
Right.
You'll end up screaming at Paul, and we don't need that, you know. Let's end on a good note, right? But I do very much appreciate, most people would be like, you're not coming into my home to talk to me so everybody can see. And yet you had no problem with it. And that is in of itself tremendous faithful obedience. You will never know, trust me, how many people you touch by telling your story. Because I'm not saying it's a million, I wasn't Joe Rogan here, but there's a lot of people that come up to me like, oh, I watched this or I heard that. I was like, oh, people are actually watching this. That's good. So, and it'll live on the internet. So, you just stay faithful, stay strong, keep clinging to him,
Thank you.
keep praying for me. That's one thing you can do.
Always
You've
pray for
known me a
you.
long time.
Always pray for you.
I know you do.
I've known you since you were youth leader when my kids were in youth group.
I know. I know. And I married
Um,
Liz, and now we got the kids and just baptized Ezra. Wow. I said that made me feel old. Baptizing a child of the kid I had in youth group. Feeling old myself these
and
days.
he's been there since he was born.
Born in the nursery. No. Yeah. Well, thanks again for letting us in and being on. And
Thank you.
I'm sure whoever sees this will be praying for you, and keep on keeping on, right? You can do all
Right.
things through Christ who strengthens you.
Yep.
Amen.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.